Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to another video. So today I'm doing something different again. This is my first contest video. So I have done response videos before, but this one is actually in relation to a contest. So something completely new for me, and it seems like a really fun topic. So the contest that I'm referring to is one created by a guy called Trevor Hickey from Canada. I recently discovered his channel through Gordon once again, so thanks Gordon. But yeah, just I noticed this topic. I thought it's something that I've always wanted to talk about. It's interesting, you know. It's sort of not the conventional kind of video for the metal community, so I thought it would be interesting to partake. Basically, it's guilty pleasures. So what it's talking about is items in your musical collection which you would consider guilty pleasures. First of all, I'd just like to say that, for the record, in my opinion, Trevor said pretty much the same thing, but I believe this as well, that we should never have to feel guilty about the music we like. You don't have to make apologies, otherwise you're answering to people who are making the rules. So yeah, stick to your guns and admit to what you like. But a better way of describing it is, rather than feeling guilty about it, as Trevor mentioned, it's more like albums in your collection where people would be surprised. Like they would say, wow, man, I never expected you to listen to that, or that's different for you, that's unusual. But that's what I like about it, because of course, most people who listen to metal, including myself, we don't just listen to metal, even if it may be 90-95%, but you occasionally like different stuff. And diversity is a good thing, especially when it comes to music, because it adds, you know, color to your musical experiences. So yeah, I thought, how am I ever going to talk about my non-metal releases in these kinds of videos? This is the perfect opportunity. So without further ado, we'll just get straight into it. Hopefully I don't lose any subscribers over this, but you know, we'll see how it goes. Remember, just be open-minded. Everyone's entitled to listen to what they want, and sometimes you just want something different. So here we go. But I'm going to start with records. By the way, Trevor said limited to 5. I've got about 8 actually, so I hope that's not violating the rules too much, but there you have it. So first of all, I'm going to talk about the records. Let's ease in, shall we? This first release is actually a metal album. So that's Poison with Open Up and Say Ah. Okay, so a band which needs no introduction, glam metal from the USA, 1980s. Yeah, I think a lot of people, they consider this very sort of cheesy glam metal, but as I say to people all the time, like, is cheesy necessarily a bad thing? No, it can be fun, and this band is certainly a lot of fun. Incidentally, the way I discovered them, I was only in the 3rd grade. Like, the first big band I got into was Guns N' Roses in like 5th grade, but in 3rd grade we used to have these music activity days, and there was one session where people could bring in tapes and we all sat and listened to them. So this kid, I was in 3rd grade at the time, a kid in 4th grade brought this tape in, and he played Nothing But a Good Time, and I thought, oh wow, you know, for a kid 8 years old, like, it was so extreme and over the top, and I thought, this is my thing. This band is great. You know, I'd never heard sort of hard rock, but really fun band. So this was definitely a gateway band for me. And even when I listen to it to this day, I got this copy in Thailand a few years ago, but like, it just brings back a lot of nostalgia for me. And this band gets a pretty bad rap. Like, a lot of people say they're cheesy or they're not genuine. I just think, oh, bollocks, you know, like, the point is they're a fun band. As David Coverdale from Whitesnake said, you've got to admit with Poison, they are fun. And I can attest to that, in the sense that, you know, I've seen footage of their concerts in the 80s and early 90s, very entertaining, very energetic. This album is underrated. Like, it's known for Nothing But a Good Time, classic song. Also Fallen Angel, which is a little bit depressing for me, but there's so many underrated songs with really raunchy guitars and heavy riffs, great vocals, like some of my favorites: Love on the Rocks, Good Love, Tearing Down the Walls, Look But You Can't Touch. Yeah, just some of them. They're sort of the unsung heroes of this album. But I remember once, like, this was in the early 2000s, a friend I had who was into extreme metal, he saw that I owned this, and he said, "Where's your integrity, dude?" And like, my response to that, my sentiment, my response to that is, oh, fuck off. You know, like, don't be so fucking self-righteous and smug making rules. If you like the sound of a band, yeah, you should just admit to it. So anyway, yes, Poison, Open Up and Say Ah, great album, and I make no apologies for saying that. Okay, coming up to the next one. So as I've mentioned, I'm not apologizing for any of these. They're just something different people may not expect. But Fleetwood Mac with Rumours. Okay, so need no introduction, of course, British American rock pop band, you know, who were so hugely famous in the 70s and 80s till this day. The way I discovered them was actually just when I was over here. I bought a compilation CD dirt cheap, and then I started listening to it and go, wow, you know, they have some really good songs, and I never gave them a proper chance. Like, my parents listened to them a lot back in the day, and I just gave it a chance myself and thought, this is brilliant. Like, I am a greatest hits kind of guy with this band, but this album is just a classic. Like, this is regarded as their best, and with good reason. It's like a diary stitched together of all their famous songs. But what are the most, you know, like, they've got so many classic songs on this, you know, like Don't Stop, You Make Loving Fun, that kind of thing, Gold Dust Woman. Every track is great, and there's so much diversity on this album with the different songwriters, you know, like Stevie Nicks and Christine McVie and Lindsey Buckingham. But my absolute favorite songs on this album, Secondhand News, Dreams, those first two just fantastic for me. Also Go Your Own Way. But yeah, as I said, yeah, I Don't Want to Know is a good song as well, but just a really good, interesting rock pop music, and you can't deny their talent. So that's Fleetwood Mac with Rumours. Talking about the same band, I also bought a copy of Tango in the Night, which is like from the late 80s. This one's got Little Lies and Big Love, Seven Wonders. Yeah, so, and Caroline is a really good song. So yeah, Fleetwood Mac is different for me, except when I'm looking for something more chilled and relaxed with some melody and some atmosphere, I really like some Fleetwood Mac. So there you go. All right, so that's two artists. Now we're going to go into the CDs. The next one, I have multiple releases by this band, so I'll just choose the one that perhaps I listen to the most. This is The Cure with Boys Don't Cry. So everyone knows The Cure as well, like famous goth band. Well, they started off more like a post-punk band actually, and then it evolved into this goth group. And I remember, like, when I was in high school, all the goth girls liked The Cure, especially that album Wish. But again, this band is just really diverse, like, as their style evolved, but just some really sort of like, if someone asked me to describe The Cure in 3 words, I would say depressing but good, if that makes sense. Like, it's a very dark, dreary atmosphere, and it can be quite melancholy, but it's very just textured, interesting music. There's a lot of atmosphere and there's a lot of emotion to this music, and they cover all sorts of ranges. Like, they've got some really sort of dark, somber songs, and then some very poppy songs and punky songs. They've got everything. They really are fantastic. So again, I make no apologies for liking this band. I think they're really good, and I think as a metal fan, I'm probably not the only one who could appreciate them, because they're a kind of dark band as well. But yeah, this album is probably my favorite. Like, some of my favorite tracks off this would be Plastic Passion, 10:15 Saturday Night, So What, and Fire in Cairo. But yeah, great album. And just showing you some other albums by The Cure. I also have Faith. Favorite song on that is Other Voices. That's my favorite Cure song of all time. This is The Cure with Pornography. Favorite song on that is The Hanging Garden. Great atmospheric song. What else? Here we have Wish. Wish is a great album. My favorite songs on this are High and From the Edge of the Deep Green Sea and End. Brilliant album. And the last one, Blood Flowers, which is a really melancholic, sort of introspective album, but great. Some really dark, depressing, dreary songs, but it's so good. Some of my favorite songs on this are Watching Me Fall, The Last Day of Summer. Yeah, just really dreary and depressing. But yeah, so describing this band's styles, it's like pop, rock, goth, punk, post-punk, like a whole load of things, but just really interesting music. So there we have 5 albums by The Cure. Okay, so if we're going by artists, I've just mentioned 3 so far. Up next, this may surprise some people, David Byrne with Ray Momo. So if you're not familiar, David Byrne was the lead vocalist and primary songwriter for the band Talking Heads, you know, which were considered a bit off the wall, you know, in the 1980s. To be honest, I'm not overly familiar with Talking Heads, except generation before mine, they were very into that, but I should listen to more of them based on this. This is one of his solo albums, obviously, where he was influenced by sort of Latino samba music, South American music. So there is a kind of concept to this, but yeah, that's what he's going for, like blending pop rock with different Latin American music styles. And it's interesting, you see on the back here, he puts the style in brackets like salsa, reggae, cha-cha-cha, orissa, cumbia, you know, everything. So like it really is quite diverse. Like I'm not much of an expert on Latino music, but all I know is this album creates a very chilled atmosphere, very interesting music. Like as I get older, I actually appreciate jazz music a lot more and like world music a lot more. And this is definitely a great release because he's blending those styles with his own sensibility, you know. So like the way I discovered David Byrne, this album, Re Momo, was my mum and dad bought a copy and they played it. They used to play it in the car, and at first I heard it and I didn't like it. I didn't like David Byrne's voice. You know, I think just because it sounded so different. I was so young as a kid at that time. But then I grew to appreciate it more just listening to it, and then it finally, you know, the penny dropped and I go, oh, this is excellent, like really good music. So again, it's just that kind of album I reach for when I'm looking for something a bit more chilled and, you know, for some atmosphere, but just, yeah, it's much more relaxing, and it really is a great album. Like if you're open-minded to check out, you know, new music, especially involving world music, check this out. Some of my favorite songs on this: Independence Day, Make Believe Mambo, Loco d'Amor, Don't Want to Be Part of Your World. Yeah, so many great songs. But David Byrne, I think, musical genius, and yeah, I love this album, Re Momo. Okay. Coming up next, another band which needs no introduction, Aussie band. This is In Excess. So what I have here is definitive In Excess. Just to explain, as an Australian person, as an Aussie, when I was a kid, this was the first group that I learned to like as a group. So when you're a young kid, you generally like songs, but like the first band I properly liked was In Excess. Like the year was about 1987, 88, so I was only like 8, 9 years old. But someone in the family really liked this band and got me into them. And like Kick, the album Kick from 87, I think, is just a classic album. Like again, Australian pop rock, but it's got a unique atmosphere. No one really sounds like In Excess, and to this day, like I just can't deny it. Like whenever I hear their music, I go, it's still really good. I do enjoy it, and again, for something different, it's fantastic. So, as I said, my favorite album is Kick, but this one is Greatest Hits, so it's got some of their, you know, most famous songs. What we've got here: Need You Tonight, What You Need, Disappear, Mystify, Just Keep Walking, Suicide Blonde, Listen Like Thieves, New Sensation, Devil Inside. Yeah, fantastic. So every essential song is on this. But as I said, Kick is my favorite album. I also have another one, Welcome to Wherever You Are. That's a good album. Yeah, I need to get Kick on vinyl. So everyone knows like the vocalist Michael Hutchence tragically died in 97, and then later on he was replaced by a Canadian guy. What's his name? JT or something. But yeah, the band's finished now, but I really like In Excess for something different. So there you go. Okay, up next, another Aussie band. Here we go. This is Midnight Oil with 20,000 watt RSL. So Midnight Oil, I'm sure some people are familiar with them. They've achieved some international success. Famous, I think most people know the song Beds Are Burning. That's probably their most famous song abroad. And then I asked people from other countries, do you know any of their other songs? Not really, but in Australia they were huge. This is basically the quintessential Australian rock band. This band is so Australian in terms of atmosphere, lyrics, the concepts that they write about. Like they write about a lot of sort of political and environmental issues because they're sort of an activist kind of band. But yeah, just musically so great. It sounds very 80s, and it is a distinctly Australian atmosphere. And it's one of those bands, like when I was growing up as a kid, I heard some songs on the radio and thought, you know, some of them really clicked with me. So when I was older, like many years later, I thought, you know what, I saw this is a greatest hits CD. I decided to buy it and really like it. Like some of my favorite songs on this: Power and the Passion, Dream World, The Dead Heart. Oh, that's such a great atmospheric song. Blue Sky Mine, Beds Are Burning, King of the Mountain, fucking great song. That's probably my favorite Midnight Oil song. Like, so much fun. You can't not be in a good mood when you listen to that song. Yeah, so maybe you have heard of this band before. If you haven't, just check them out. If you like rock or pop rock, but like very retro, very Australian, Midnight Oil. All right. Up next, something completely different again. And I'm just taking this off for the glare. Bob Marley and the Wailers, Rastaman Vibration. Okay, so Bob Marley needs no introduction, he and his band. This is a band I sort of discovered by accident. Of course, everyone knows who Bob Marley is, how can you not? When I was growing up in the 80s, you know, my parents' generation and people like that, you know, listened to, you know, Legend was a famous album. And to be honest, when I was a teenager, like, I never really liked Legend because I thought, oh, it's just that overkilled album, like with all those cliched, typical hits. You know, that's a narrow-minded way of thinking, because obviously greatest hits cliches come from somewhere because they're good songs anyway, but I just thought it was sort of a very overkilled album, Legend. And then for my 22nd birthday, my brother bought me this. I'll never forget it. Like, I opened the package and I looked at it and I was like, what the fuck? You know, like, I didn't say that, but he knew that I was a metal fan, you know, into extreme metal. And I laughed and I said, oh, you know, so what's the catch? Is this really Bob Marley? And like, or is there some kind of surprise? He goes, no, I bought it for you. And it's like, oh, okay, thanks. I thought, that's different. But anyway, I was left with this CD, and over that year, I started listening to it. I just spent some time with it. Now I love this album, really like it a lot, and I visit it frequently, I would say. Yeah, so it had fresh material, but there are some greatest hits on this. Like, it's got the songs people are familiar with. War is quite a popular song on this, and also Roots Rock Reggae. I love that song, it's brilliant. But so many atmospheric songs on this album which really invoke a lot of emotion. Like, some of my other favorites would be Johnny Was, very sad and depressing but emotional song. Also Want More, Crazy Bald Head, and Night Shift. They're my other favorite songs. It's so catchy. Like, with this, you hear he sings a lot of melodies and lines, and then the female backing vocals echo and repeat him, so it's very catchy, easy to sing along to. But if I'm going on holiday on an island or a tropical island or something, perfect soundtrack with a few cocktails. So that's Bob Marley with Rastaman Vibration. Okay, and coming up to the last one, this is Steely Dan. Okay, so people are probably familiar with Steely Dan as well. Their most famous song is Do It Again, I think. But, you know, they had a series of hits over the 70s and 80s. But this was another band that I discovered through my parents, you know, just listening to them. But really fun album. It's like, when you're young, in your teens and your early 20s, you find, like, I had very tunnel vision, like, only listen to extreme stuff. But then as you get a bit older, like in my mid-20s or approaching 30s, started hearing old classic songs on the radio and go, actually, that's really good. So you just open your mind with age. But this band, yeah, hard to pigeonhole them as well. It's like pop rock, and so pop rock, and then mixing with other elements like jazz, Latin music, soul, R&B, as in old rhythm and blues. So it's all of those things, but they just have this amazing ability to write really catchy and textured, brilliant songs. Like, and like so many different atmospheres. Like, whenever you hear a song by them, you know it's them, but they cover so many different moods and so many different tempos and everything. So, like, really good band. So some favorite songs, I mean, I don't have time to mention all my favorite songs, but like looking at this, Do It Again, Reeling in the Years, Black Cow, Deacon Blues. Deacon Blues is one of my favorite songs. By the way, I forgot to pull out the vinyl for this. I Own Asia. That's probably my favorite Steely Dan album. Peg, Hey 19, My Old School. Yeah, just very different. I know people must think, what the fuck, you like that? But yeah, occasionally I can, because as I've said before, I don't make any rules about music. Like, it has to be this way, it has to be that way. It's more about whether it's good music. So this is definitely it. So Steely Dan. Alright, so that concludes my video. I know I included about 8 artists there, so I hope that's permissible. But yeah, as I said, try to have an open mind. I don't really feel guilty about listening to any of these bands, and I don't make any apologies. But as Trevor said, it's more like bands which would, as me, the listener, might surprise people that I like those. But diversity is a good thing. You can't listen to the same stuff all the time. So yeah, there's some of my guilty pleasures. Well, guilty, not really guilty pleasures. So anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you don't unsubscribe. I hope you appreciate the concept of this. And yeah, any comments are welcomed. Just don't be too hostile. What are some of your favorite guilty pleasures? Dare you tell me? And what do you think about some of these artists? Let me know. Okay, well, thanks anyway. Thanks a lot, Trevor, for coming up with the contest. And it's just a really great idea, so I appreciate that a lot. And thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.